you're struggling to consistently win your 1v1s and you've hit a bit of a wall trying to improve, your choice of legend could make a massive difference. Here are the 3 best legends for winning your ones, as well as the 3 worst, and we'll talk about why the 3 worst matter in just a little bit. These 3 legends have a clear advantage in most 1v1 scenarios. Doesn't necessarily make them the absolute best legends to pick all the time, but they win their ones, and that's been made even more obvious by how often they got picked in solos when they brought that game mode back. Starting at number 3, we have Horizon. Horizon's always been a strong fighting legend, even when she's been nerfed really hard, but since the recent buffs to the Skirmisher class and the health regen that she gets anytime she activates her passive, she's once again one of the most flexible 1v1 legends in the game. We'll talk more about this after going over the top 3, but anything movement related is great for 1v1s, because being able to reposition quickly allows you to essentially restart the fight, like give a soft restart, in a position that's a lot more favorable for you. If you're fighting a Horizon, be careful about taking her lift with her, because you'll be an easy target in the air and she'll get on the ground before you do. After all, she did throw the lift down and go up it before you did, so it's usually just better to anticipate where she's going to reposition to and track her on the way. They'll usually use their lift to try and heal in the middle of a fight, like try to back off and reposition and all that, so just try to track her on the way, keep pressuring her while she's trying to heal, and especially because while she's going up the lift, there's a debuff to Horizon's aim, so she's not going to have as easy of a time shooting you as you are shooting her, so just keep the pressure on, you should be fine. While her lift is still one of the best movement abilities in the game, she's just outclassed by the next 2 legends. She's also not very useful for a team anymore. There's better options, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend picking her, but if you're just trying to win 1v1s and you can't pick the next 2 legends, then she's probably a good option. At number 2, we have Ballistic, and I know I literally just said that movement abilities make a legend better for 1v1s, and Ballistic really doesn't have that, but just hear me out for a second. Ballistic's Whistler is just too good of a 1v1 tool to not include him in the top 3. You can deal like 20 damage for free, you can use it to block off space, it limits your opponent's ability to shoot their gun, and I don't know if I need to explain this, but typically the person who wins the 1v1 is the one who shoots their gun better, and being able to literally force people to shoot their gun less or take damage and be prevented from shooting, that's a pretty big advantage in a straight 1v1. Plus, people have kind of been sleeping on his ult for a long time, but getting a speed boost plus faster reloads plus infinite ammo means you're spending more time up in the fight than your opponent, and that matters in a 1v1, that matters a lot. If you're playing against a Ballistic, your best bet is to focus on superior positioning to get an advantage, because you're probably not going to have an advantage with pure gun skill alone, certainly not if you're up in like diamond and higher lobbies where everybody's gun skill is pretty much the same. Better positioning, if you get an advantage in that fight, make sure you keep up that momentum and don't let them back off. Because remember, he doesn't really have movement abilities, so he can't back off very easily. If you get the advantage in that 1v1, you gotta press that advantage. And number 1 by a long shot, and this might be a slightly controversial opinion, but I really don't think it is. I think everybody's on the same page with me here. Ashe is the best 1v1 legend by a mile. Her dash passive is the best movement ability in the game for quickly repositioning. Her ult can grab height or close the gap quickly, so it's pretty strong. It's also useful for the team. But the part that people have been sleeping on for years is her snare. It can stop a person in their tracks and prevent them from repositioning at all. And it's funny because people used to say that was the weakest part about her kit. Nobody started complaining about her snare at all until this season when she got this dash ability added. People thought it was really weak. And every now and then, Respawn would try to buff for a little bit, and then they would have to roll that buff back. They'd have to nerf the snare. And people have been wondering for years why Respawn would have to do this. She used to be one of the weakest legends in the game, and all it really took to give her the advantage was giving her this dash and buffing the ult a little bit. As we've already said, anything that allows you to reposition in a fight is going to give you the chance to reset that fight on your terms. Well, Ashe has 2 repositioning tools built into her kit, so she's got her dash, she's got her ult, that's amazing already. But on top of that, she can very easily and consistently prevent others from moving with that snare. All you really have to do is catch somebody in the snare, dash towards them, and just finish that fight, man. They can't go anywhere, they can't do anything. And if you need some tips on how to counter her, here's a couple tips. So number 1, if you go to the edge of her snare radius and you melee, you'll break out of the tether. So that's an option that's always available to you if you need to get out of the tether. Number 2, while her movement abilities are great, they're also pretty well telegraphed, so if she cracks you and she's trying to push that advantage, you probably shouldn't waste time healing. You should probably be looking at her on the cross and try to even that damage difference. Try to deal damage while she's moving, because it's harder for her to hit her shots on you than it is for you to hit your shots on her while she's dashing. I know that's risky, but healing is literally just going to get you killed in a 1v1 with an Ashe at close to mid-range, so it's really just not worth it in most scenarios. The snare also isn't that difficult to dodge overall. It's more threatening than Ballistic's Whistler, but it's a lot easier to avoid, so you have a really good shot at avoiding it if you just keep moving from cover to cover in a fight. Now here's the problem with playing the best 1v1 legends all the time. It's really easy to use them as a crutch. When you play legends like these all the time, some of your fundamentals are gonna get weaker because your base kit in the legend does a great job of making up for those weak fundamentals. And this is especially true for movement legends, right? So if your positioning and your decision making in a fight are bad, you can get away with that when you're playing somebody like Ashe because you have so many ways to get out of a bad situation and you don't always get punished for your bad decisions the way that you should be. So if you're trying to get better at 1v1s, here are 3 of the worst legends for winning those. Legends who aren't bad for the team, they're not bad legends, but they don't really give you an advantage in a straight up one-on-one fight and they force you to develop strong fundamentals. At number 3, we have Gibby, and here's 3 main reasons this guy is not good for 1v1s. First, his hitbox is massive, so your opponent's going to have an easier time hitting their shots than you are hitting yours. Second, Newcastle also has a massive hitbox, right? But unlike Newcastle, Gibby doesn't have any movement abilities. Newcastle's ult can reposition him if he needs to in a pinch. If Gibby gets caught out, he can bubble, he can buy some time, but he can't actually reposition and really change the conditions of a fight. And third, Caustic also has a massive hitbox, right? And he also doesn't have movement options. But the difference between Caustic and Gibby is that Caustic has the ability to zone off space and buy some time with damage dealing abilities. Gibby doesn't have that. I mean, his ult, yes, but his ult's not as flexible as Caustic's gas and Caustic's barrels. Now again, to be clear, I'm not saying Gibby is actually a worse legend than those two. In fact, of the 3, Caustic is clearly the worst for Battle Royale, but Gibby's ult isn't useful in a 1v1 specifically, and his bubble really isn't either, especially right now because we're not in a shotgun meta. If it was a shotgun meta, I might have a different opinion, but right now he's a little bit weaker. If anything, his bubble can help him force 1v1s in some scenarios, but it's not giving him a clear advantage. It's mostly just buying him and his team some time in some rough situations. So great for the team, great for ranked play, not great for 1v1s. At number 2, we have Crypto, and I probably don't have to explain this one much, but I'm going to compare him to Bloodhound to kind of point out why Crypto is worse at 1v1s than the other scan legends, but still significantly better as an overall pick. Say we compare Crypto's drone versus Bloodhound's scan. Well, Crypto's drone doesn't scan through walls. It's also harder to get the right positioning to get a scan from Crypto's drone than it is with Bloodhound scan. Bloodhound scan, you just kind of pop it and you see everything in front of you. Crypto ult isn't ideal in a straight fight because while it does do damage and stun your opponents, if you're close enough to ult in a 1v1, then you're also going to get hit by your own ult, so you're going to get stunned too, and you don't want that. You compare that to Bloodhound's ult, which gives him a speed boost, it improves vision. It's kind of a no-brainer that Bloodhound would be better in a 1v1. And again, to re-emphasize my point, Crypto is significantly better for the team. Bloodhound's really not worth picking in this meta at all, but if you're in a straight 1v1, Crypto's at a disadvantage, even more so than Gibby, because at least Gibby has a dome and a damage-dealing ult so he can slow the pace of a fight down. If Crypto loses a 1v1, he doesn't really have a way out. And finally, the absolute worst legend for 1v1s, the best way to handicap yourself in a fair one-on-one fight, and this is a hot take, so get ready, we have Octane. And I know what you're thinking, Wheaties, you just said movement is important, Octane has his jump pads, he has his stim, what's the problem? And the problem is his jump pads and his stim. For starters, the game's been out for like 6 years. Everybody's seen Octane, everybody knows how the jump pad works, everybody knows what to expect, it's predictable. Also, when you drop a pad, you're giving your opponent a movement option as well. It's far more flexible than a Horizon Lift actually, because at least the Horizon Lift's gonna disappear after a few seconds. That pad, I mean, you can shoot it and destroy it, but otherwise it's just there. The fact that it's permanently there does matter, I think, because it is giving your opponent a permanent option, assuming you don't destroy it, and you're not going to destroy it in the middle of a 1v1, like that's just throwing the fight. That is a pretty big deal. And his stim, dude, I mean, an ability that does damage to yourself just to give yourself an insignificant speed boost and put a little green trail that makes you easier to see, like, you might as well just give him a new tactical where you press a button and instantly turn into a death box. Like, it's so bad, dude. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating. Maybe the green trail really isn't that bad. I'm being a little over dramatic, but the stim damage is bad. Like, one of the worst things you could do in a 1v1 is intentionally damage yourself. There was a time when this guy was the best legend for 1v1s. He was the best for this sort of thing, and they had to nerf his passive, they had to nerf his tactical to balance him to the point where he's the closest we have to a throw of a legend so bad that you're almost making the game harder for yourself. I know a lot of movement players also really love to play Octane, but the thing about that is, again, it's been 6 years. Like, people are kind of used to seeing all of the Octane movement tricks. Like, you're not really going to surprise anybody the way you used to be able to. There's a reason the most movement you see in Pro League is like a tap strafe here and there. Like, movement is just not a big enough deal anymore. People are used to it. He's easily the weakest legend in the game right now. It makes zero sense to pick him if you're trying to gain any sort of advantage. And to be clear, he's still 100% viable. Every legend is viable right now, but it just doesn't make sense to play him. So if you're trying to get better at 1v1s, consider picking him because he's kind of handicapping you a little bit. So those are my takes on the top 3 best legends and the top 3 worst legends for winning your 1v1s. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Am I like super wrong about Octane? I might be wrong about Octane, to be honest. I'm kind of debating that one. Am I wrong about Horizon? That was also one that I thought was kind of a spicy hot take. And again, this isn't a who are the best 3 legends and who are the worst 3 legends kind of video. This is specifically about 1v1s. Anyways, let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know if I'm totally wrong. Let me know if I'm totally right. And if there's anything that you'd like to see in the future, let me know that too. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all in the comments.